What's going on? It's Coach Williams, and today we're going to do a breakdown of the attacking style zone pressure 3-4 defense. But instead of me telling you, I'm going to show you with Oculus. We're going to step into virtual reality and be able to see from the perspective of the players on the field. And we're going to start this, and it's going to be a series that I'm going to continually do and continually update. So leave a comment and let me know what kind of concepts you would like me to break down from the perspective of players. But without any more delay, let's get started. All right, so here we are in VR. Let's jump right in. So the first thing that we want to understand about the attacking style 3-4 defense is we have our weak side defenders and our strong side defenders. So if you notice here, the ball is on the defensive right middle. So usually if we get a bounce formation like we have right now, this is doubles formation, we will set the strength to the field. If we end up in a situation where it's a 3-by-1 like this, well then it's easy. We know that it's to the field. If you bring this receiver over here though, even though it's to the field is this way, the strong side would be where there are more receiving threats, right? So that's how we understand stuff. The other thing that we want to understand is typically the most common front that we're going to be using is the Oki front. So that means that the nose is going to be in a 0 and we're going to have 2-4 techniques. So let's jump in and start breaking down each individual position. And we'll start with the strong side defenders and kick it off with the nose. So this is our nose. So like we said, let me get, let's get a little bit more. Okay, yeah, this is a little bit more realistic size. So with our nose, he is typically going to be more of a run stuffing defender, a guy that we want to eat up double teams and stuff like that and stop the run. He's not typically going to be a guy that's going to be, a beast pass rusher and all that stuff. It's usually going to be like in high school or in college, the biggest and strongest guy on your team. Or if you got a guy that's 300 pounds, you can rotate him in there and get him in that spot. So that's the nose. Now let's move over here to the end. So we got the end here. All right. Yeah, this is nice, perfect perspective. So the end, he's your strong side defensive end. So he is probably your best defensive lineman, most athletic defensive lineman on your team. He's a guy that's got to be good stopping the run, right? Cutting off run plays, being able to take on tackles, maybe take on a double team or two. And he's got to be a guy that is a good pass rusher. He's got to be a really, really good pass rusher. So he's probably your best pass rushing defensive end as well. So that's your end. All right, let's jump out and we'll stay in the box here and we'll go to the mic. So your mic linebacker, I like to say he's a dog, right? Not a super great athlete, probably not one of your more athletic linebackers, but he's a guy that's gritty and mean and tough, right? He's a guy that's going to be what we call a thumper, right? So if we get like a play like ISO, right? And he's one-on-one with the fullback, he's the type of guy, classic Oklahoma drill, that we trust is going to win that matchup every time, right? So he's a thumper. Not a guy that we want to get into man-to-man coverage very often, but sometimes offenses will be able to cook up some formations that will force that. But we typically want him to be a zone coverage defender if we have him in coverage. And he's going to blitz from time to time as well, too. So that's our mic. Now we'll jump over here to our Sam linebacker. So the Sam linebacker is typically your most athletic linebacker, right? He's a do-it-all kind of guy. He's a guy that's going to be able to be a force player and set the edge from time to time. He's a guy that we're going to be blitzing and sending after the quarterback sometimes. He's also going to be a zone defender, right? So we see his alignment right now. He's cutting off cutting the space between the tackle and the nearest receiving threat. So he's going to be a good zone defender. And from time to time, he's going to have to come out here and be in man-to-man coverage. So think, like Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who was recently drafted to the Cleveland Browns, I believe. He's a guy that's like a typical Sam linebacker in today's modern football. Super athletic guy, can do a lot of different things. So now, let's get into the secondary. And we've got our strong safety here, right? So our strong safety, he is a bit of a do-it-all kind of guy too, right? He's a guy that is going to be dropping down sometimes, right? And being in man-to-man coverage. Sometimes if we're sending this Sam off the edge, well, if he's going off the edge, well, he's got to replace him. So he'll be out here in zone coverage, covering this curl flat area, right? Also, he is typically going to be a guy that is going to be sent sometimes off the edge too, right? We might blitz him every once in a while. Or maybe we blitz him inside, right? We're going to get creative with him. But he's also got to be able to hold his own in deep zone coverage if we're in a cover 2, right? Or a cover 4, right? Or sometimes maybe we'll rotate him to the middle of the field in cover 3 in certain situations if it's 3 week, right? So he's got a lot of different responsibilities. He's probably the best safety on the team. And if you have 2 really good safeties, well, then you're in luck. You won't have to flip them around. Either one can know the responsibilities and be on either side. So now let's move it over to our field corner, right? Field corner. So typically the field corner is the second best corner on the team. And the reason for that is since he's to the strong side and he's to the field and he's going to be on the side where there's usually more offensive receiving threats, he's not going to get isolated. He's not going to end up in a situation where he's in an island in man-to-man coverage, probably have some help over the top unless it's like a zero blitz or something like that, or if it's cover 1, right? Because safety's in the middle of the field. But typically, he's going to have a little bit more help. But that doesn't mean that guy can be a scrub. Because think about it, right? Let's say we get a 3x1 over here, right? We get a screen play, right? Or even in this 2x2, we get a bubble screen or something like that, right? He's got to be able to tackle. There's more receiving threats, so he has to have fast eyes, especially for pattern matching, right? So he's got to have fast eyes, and he's got to be really, really intelligent, right? So that is the tendencies that we want in our field corner, okay? So those are our strong side defenders. So now let's get into the weak side. So weak side, we'll start in the box again, and we'll kick it off with the tackle. So the tackle is typically, even though he's a defensive end, he's more of a defensive tackle kind of type, right? So he's not the greatest pass rusher on your team. You still need him to be able to get after it and get after the quarterback, but he is a little bit more of a run defender, and we'll understand that a little bit more once we start talking about the other positions as well. But he's a little bit more of a run run stopper, a guy that's going to be getting an inside pass rush and stuff like that, right? But he still has to be able to, set an edge, and be able to take on offensive linemen and do all that good stuff. So now we'll go over here to the will linebacker. So we've got our will linebacker here, and he is probably your most athletic inside linebacker, right? So he is a sideline to sideline kind of guy that is just going to be, running and chasing ball carriers down, taking their heads off. Your will linebacker is probably going to have the most tackles. If you're playing things right, he's going to have the most tackles because the mic is going to be keeping him clean, right? The mic is going to be attacking, offensive linemen, pulling guards and stuff like that, fullbacks and ISO, right? So it's his job to stay clean, and it's his job to keep him clean and him to come over and make a lot of the tackles. So if your will linebacker has a lot of tackles, you're doing something right. And then we have the rush linebacker. So the rush linebacker, down here in the perspective. So the rush linebacker is a little bit more like a defensive end. He's got a defensive end's kind of skill set, right? So he's probably the best pass rusher on your team, okay? So typically in a 3-4 defense, this will linebacker, right? The 3 down linemen are going like 90% of the time, right? We're not trying to drop them into coverage that often. I would say this will linebacker is probably blitzing and coming off the edge. I would say probably about 60 to 70% of the time, right? So he is like a down lineman, but to keep the offense honest and have them not, one of the advantages of the attacking style 3-4 defense is we're sending 4 or 5 guys, but the offense never knows which 4 or 5 we're sending, right? So to keep them honest, he's got to be able to cover in zone coverage, right? And the nice thing about him is, since he is to the boundary, to the weak side, there's less area to cover, right? So it's the short side of the field, right? He's not going to be ending up in space with guys. He's going to have a shorter area to cover in zone coverage. And from time to time, we're going to ask him to be in man-to-man coverage as well. So that is the will linebacker. So that's it for the front 7. Now we'll get to the back end and we'll get to our free safety. So free safety, typically your second best safety, right? A guy that you don't really want in man-to-man coverage that often, but he is a really good deep zone defender, very intelligent, fast eyes, right? Good instincts, good at being able to read the quarterback's eyes, know where the ball is going. He's going to rotate to the middle of the field from time to time. Sometimes he's going to be back here in cover 2, right? Trying to make sure that he's staying over the top, right? So that is our free safety. But he's also got to, from time to time, be able to handle himself in man-to-man coverage, right? He's got to be able to cover in man-to-man from time to time. But I would say the majority of the time, he is going to be a deep zone defender. And then that gets us lastly to our boundary corner. So the boundary corner, that is your dog, right? That is your Deion Sanders. That is your Jalen Ramsey, your Stephon Gilmore. He is the best corner on your team. He's the best cover guy. And the reason for that is, like we said, with the field corner, there's going to be times where he's going to be isolated one-on-one, be on an island, and usually what the offense is going to want to do is they're going to put their best receiver isolated one-on-one with him. So oftentimes this corner is a little bit taller, he's a little bit longer and rangier, but it doesn't matter. If he's got the skill set and he's a smaller guy, think Jair Alexander, right? Smaller guy, but he's the best corner on his team. So he would be a boundary corner in this kind of defense. And I've coached guys. My last 2 boundary corners, the tallest one was 5'8", right? If you got that dog in you and you can cover, it doesn't matter, right? That's all that matters at the end of the day, is that this guy, this boundary corner, is going to be a mean, physical, tough guy that's going to be able to cover the best receiver on your team every week. So that is a breakdown in VR of the attacking style zone pressure 3-4 defense. So I'm going to start doing more and more of these. And like I said in the opening, leave a comment. Let me know what kind of concepts you would want to see broken down and be able to see from the perspective of the players. We're going to start doing more stuff. I'm learning how to animate the players, so soon I'll be able to make the players move in these models. So you're going to want to subscribe. You're not going to want to miss what's going to be coming next. So Ballhawks, we fly. Coach Williams, I'm out.